Good Thursday morning, everybody. This is Andy with Two Perspective Studio. Today is all about cinnamon dough. Not sure if you've ever heard of this before. I did do some of these last year. It's a very insect-resistant dough that you can make with simple kitchen ingredients. You can make holiday ornaments for your tree that smell amazing if you like cinnamon or the gingerbready kind of smells. You can make cakes to put out on your counter. Now these are not edible. They are definitely fake bakes. But you can use some simple ingredients that you probably already have around the house to make these. This is a child-friendly craft. So you can do this with kids, making ornaments for the holidays or any kind of fall little scented anything that you want to put in your little filler bowls or on your tier trays or anything like that. So it's a fun and neat thing. I was asked to do some of these again and just show some more of the detail in it. So that's what we're going to do today. This is the Live Sales and Crafting Down South group that I am posting into. Good morning, Eliza. I'll be posting this up on my YouTube, so all the replays, I'll send you over there to get replays, and the full recipe will be posted on there as well. I am going to show the recipe, just the basic recipe. I think it's in the details of this video on Facebook. This is the basic dough. I'm just going to hold the card there for just a second if you want to take a screenshot. If not, like I said, it's going to be in the little description section, and on YouTube it will be on there as well. So the basic recipe is cinnamon, unsweetened applesauce, school glue, and a dash of vanilla. That's it. It takes a little baking time or drying time. You don't actually have to bake this. You can just let it sit out for a week to 10 days if you want. Makes everything smell wonderful. Like I said, you have to like the cinnamon smell. Not everybody does. But I definitely do. That's one of my favorites. I love fall. Fall's the best time. Any sort of fall scents, that's the nicest ones for me. So I have some of my spices pulled out already. Now I'm going to show some different things that you can do with this dough. The first is making gingerbread men, because it is that cinnamony smell. I also, when I make my gingerbread cakes or the little men, or especially for ornaments on the tree, I'll add things that make it smell more like gingerbread cake, like ginger and cloves and cardamom. All those little additions in here will make this dough smell even more like authentic gingerbread. So you can do just the basic recipe with just the cinnamon, or you can add some other spices into it. All of these spices are very insect repellent spices naturally. You don't have to worry about ants or bugs or anything like that. One of the main things, though, is when it comes to your applesauce, make sure that you get an applesauce that says unsweetened, not low sugar or no sugar added or anything that has artificial sweeteners in it. You have to have just pure ground up apples, unsweetened applesauce, nothing else. If it has a little citric acid in it, that's fine. This is the Good and Gather. This is the Target brand. They sell these jumbo unsweetened applesauces, and these are perfect. You can also find the Lucky, I think it's called Lucky Leaf, at Dollar Tree. They come in the larger containers, and I think they're like 99 cents. I don't even think they charge the $1.25 for that. Just make sure that it's unsweetened. You don't want to add any, if you add any kind of sugar into this, you'll get the bugs regardless. Good morning, Morticia. How are you? So I'm going to put these over here. I'm going to get some gloves on, and when I'm pouring my cinnamon, I'm going to put a paper mask on. And that's a good thing for you to do if you're working with kids for this. Make sure that you cover them up when you're pouring and mixing in the cinnamon until your dough gets going. Cinnamon is very poof, you know, when you put it in the bowl, which you'll see in just a minute. And you don't really want to breathe it in. It'll make you cough a lot. It's really not going to hurt you unless you really ingest a lot of it, which I definitely don't recommend. If you've ever had a coughing fit over like ground pepper or cinnamon or anything in the kitchen, you know what I mean. So it's a pretty quick and easy recipe to mix up. You can get the, if you're making a lot of these like I do, I buy cinnamon in a 5-pound container. You can find these on Amazon. If you're making just a few, or you're making a batch of gingerbread men or a bunch of ornaments, you can find the, I think they're 1-pounders at the club stores like Sam's and Costco. So they sell it a little bit, you know, a little bit smaller, so in between the two. You can find these little jobbies at Dollar Tree, and they're like super cheap, and I think Aldi has them too. So I'm going to use up these smaller ones. I'm going to try to anyway. Use up these smaller ones in my batch that I'm going to do here and roll out. And a lot of these are open. I've had them for a while. Just get the super cheap ones. You don't have to spend a lot of money on the cinnamon because this is a fake cake. So, you know, don't break the bank on your spices for sure, because you can find them cheap. And a lot of times around the holidays you can find them on sale as well. That's almost a cup. So we're going for 1.5 cups of our cinnamon. And you want to kind of pour this lightly, don't pack it down. Generally I would level it off just like you do if you're measuring flour. And you see, I don't know if you can even see all the dust that, the cinnamon dust that like poofed out of there. But I don't want to breathe it in, so that's why I put the mask on. It just makes you cough a lot if you get it in there. Getting rid of a lot of these little things, that's good. Decrapitizing my space, that's what I always say. I have all these little bottles around, it takes up a lot of space. Okay, so that was 1.5 cups of our cinnamon. I just got that right in there. I don't have a clear bowl, so I'll have to sort of tip it to show you. Then we're going to do 3/4 cup of the unsweetened applesauce. Very important. Make sure it is unsweetened. That's the word. Let's see if I can get hold of this thing. So there's 1/2. And 1/4. And that makes 3/4. Alright. Then we need about 1/3 cup of just school glue. This one is clear. You can use the white. It doesn't matter one way or the other. So that's 1/3 cup of the school glue. Got glue everywhere here. Excuse me. I have the mask on and I'm still coughing. Alright. Now sometimes, just depending on my weather or my humidity level, I may have to adjust a little of this. Oh, I forgot my vanilla. This is just like cheapo imitation vanilla. We're just doing it for scent purposes. And I just add a little splash, just for extra nice smell. Because a little vanilla is lovely. Now I'm going to leave my mask on while I'm mixing this. It's pretty easy to mix. Like I said, a kid could do this pretty easily. Just make sure that during this process, they keep their mouth and nose covered. Just until it gets all mixed and there's no more powder flying around. Probably going to have to add a little bit more cinnamon in here, but what I'm going to do, I may have been a little heavy-handed on the glue and the applesauce. It needs to be, a pretty stiff batter, and this is a little bit on the soupy side. So I'm going to add some of my other spices in, because I wanted to do that anyway, so that it smells more like gingerbread. So I'm going to add some clove. And I'm going to add some ginger. And like I said, these, you don't have to worry about the bugs with these because they're all anti-bug. Bugs do not like these smells. Oh, I can't get that off. I'm going to add just a little bit of cardamom. I'm going to put in just a pinch more of the cinnamon. Mix all this in, and then we should have a good stiff dough. This doesn't take long at all to mix up. Still might be a little bit too wet though. Sure. Maybe not. Yeah, it might be. I'm going to put some more cinnamon in. We've had nothing but rain for like 2 weeks. It's pouring again today. And I'm having so much trouble getting things to dry. My clays are staying wet. There's so much moisture in the air, even with the air conditioning on in here. It's just crazy. Ooh. So usually when I get down to this point, I will start to work this with my hands. Get this off my spatula. I don't want to waste any of this lovely dough. And I'll just blend the rest of it in with my hands, and then I'll pop it out on my tile here, and we can roll it out and cut some gingerbread men. Now you can make these, you don't have to make gingerbread men. You can make the ornaments, if you're making ornaments, any style. I made some cute little donuts last year. All you have to do is remember to put the little hooks in before you get them completely dry, or you'll end up having to drill through the dough and then glue the hooks in, which you can totally do. So So I got everything out of my bowl. So I'm going to bring it out here. These off my table here. And I'm going to knead this just a little bit. Just to get it all worked in. Well, I can take my mask off now. Maybe? Okay. So now there's no more powder flying around, so I can... Am I very glitchy? Am I being very glitchy? I feel like I am. Not sure if my internet is not cooperating this morning. Can everybody hear me okay? You can give me a thumbs up or something in the comments just to make sure that you can hear me. So once you have it kneaded, all you need is a rolling pin to roll this out with. Now I tend to make mine fairly thin. Yes, Chad is behind me. It's raining, so he tends to freak out just a little bit and doesn't like to be away from me when it's raining. You've heard of scaredy cat. Well, I have a scaredy dog. So I'm going to leave these thicker as you would a regular gingerbread man. These cutters are pretty thick on here. So I'm just going to press the cutter down. Now you're going to have to remove, kind of like you do sugar cookies, you have to sort of remove the dough that's around it to get the thing out that you want. See if I can get him out of here. Sometimes you have to sprinkle some extra cinnamon. What is my extra cinnamon down on your surface to make sure that you can get them out easily. This dough is still a little bit wet. It should be a little bit drier than this actually, but it's not terrible. And you can just fix any cracks that you might have in your little guy and put him on I have a baking sheet over here, and I just press the dough back together that any cracks appeared. Usually you don't have to worry too much about that. My dough is still a little bit wet. Probably could have used a little bit more in the cinnamon. But once you have as many of these as you want, or whatever shape that you want. If you want, I made my little guys a little bit thinner last year. They still smell. A year later, they still smell. This is a little donut that I made. He's pretty thick. I didn't put any ornament hook in him. But I thought about it. I thought how cute it would be to make some of these donuts with different colored icing on there and put them on the tree, and how nice it would smell. So that's definitely something that you could do. You could do any kind of holiday ornament. And I think I am remembering last year when I did this, I didn't roll out the whole batch of the dough at one time. I did it in smaller batches because it was easier. I haven't done this in a year, so so if you just run a knife or a dough scraper or something underneath it, it comes out perfectly. There's Mr. Gingy. And then just lay them on some parchment paper or a silicone mat on a baking sheet and bake. For those, I would bake them about 185 to 200. I go 200 on the cakes. You can go a little bit less on the gingerbread people or smaller ornaments. But you want to bake them for an hour and a half to 2 hours, sometimes a little bit more. They will still be a little flexible after that time, and you'll have to put them on a rack and let them dry the rest of the way. But that's basically all you have to do to make these little gingerbread people. I made these smaller ones for drink toppers, like the holiday gingerbread martinis. I put a little man on the top of it. I put some on top of cakes. So I made smaller ones. But if you're gonna, decorate them with the faces and the buttons and all the things, you can make them as big as you want. You just have to be able to keep handling your cinnamon dough. So when it starts sticking to the paper a lot like this, just like you would a cookie, usually you dust flour, but you don't want to add flour to this because flour can mold. So you want to just dust it with some more cinnamon or one of these other spices that you have left over. Just dust a little down and it won't stick. So that is how you do those. And if you're making the ornaments, put your little hook, your little eye hook with the screw on it. Just stick it into the end of your gingerbread man before you bake them. That's all you have to do there. So I'm going to reserve this guy, and I will finish those. I'm going to show you what I did with the cakes. Oh, another thing that you can do, if you want to make individual slices of gingerbread cake and ice them so that you can put them on little plates. If you, morning, Marianne. If you can, if you sell at craft shows or on Etsy or anything like that, you can make the little individual cake slices out of just using a square silicone mold. This is a rectangle, but they do sell them in squares. So you can make the little individual cake pieces. And one of the nice things about this dough is it's very textural, which I will show you in just a second when I show you the next part here. It's always going to look like a piece of cake. A piece of cake. That's kind of funny. I made a little funny first thing in the morning. Holy cow, I don't even have a second cup of coffee yet. I forgot my coffee this morning, so I only have some water, and my brain is missing that second cup. So yesterday I made some of these bundt cakes, which is what the main thing that I did with this dough last year. I sold a ton of these. People absolutely love them around the holidays. This is one of my excuse me. This is one of my thinner molds. This one is only about 2.5 inches deep. This is the one that I do for my main gingerbread cake. These two I do a different Christmas design with, and I use some pine sprigs and cranberries and all the things, and it's a little more elaborate. For all of these here, I multiplied this base recipe, this one that I showed you at the beginning, I multiplied that by 6. So it does take a lot to make this many cups of dough. You saw the ball that I used, and I just got the 2 gingerbread men, and then I have that ball left over, which might make It might make 5 more. So you might, out of each batch, you only get about 2 cups, which isn't much. You get about two or 2¼ cups of this mixture. So in other words, this is a 6-cup bundt mold. So you need an enormous amount. That's why I buy them in the 5 pounds, the cinnamon in the 5 pounds. Because if you're making anything this big, you need a ton of cinnamon. You can make a cinnamon scented dough out of regular salt dough, which I'm going to be showing you in the next couple of weeks. You can color it the same color, make it smell almost as good, but it's salt dough, and that salt dough is a lot cheaper to make, less expensive to make than the cinnamon doughs, because let's face it, spices are expensive. So I have not demolded these. I baked these for about 2½ hours yesterday. I turned off the oven and I just left them in there until this morning. So I just left them sitting. So I have not unmolded them yet. I am hoping that they came out good. All I did was turn this over on my desk. I didn't have to manipulate it or anything. But look at how beautiful and textural this is. This really looks like a real cake. The first time my son came over and he saw these sitting on the counter, he was ready to take a knife and, you know, go right into it. He was like, "Oh my gosh, you made a bunch of cakes." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, don't eat that." He usually asks me when he comes over if I have things in the kitchen that I was working on, and he'll say, "Is this real or not?" It's funny. So it came right out of the mold. This one I did not fill all the way. I was trying to, sometimes I try and make it more like this size, because it's, you know, the smaller size, sometimes people like them a little bit better. So I made this one a little bit smaller. See, all I did was top that. Just top it on there and it comes right out. So this is a smaller one, but every time you demold them, you have these beautiful, realistic, and they smell so good. And you can decorate them any way that you want. Get these out of the way. And like I said, this is typically the mold size that I use. It's about the same as this. Maybe a little bit wider. But this is the one that I used last year for my holiday cakes. So these bundt molds come in all different shapes. Some of them look like castles. You can find a huge array of these guys on Amazon. They're pretty cheap, and you know, they come in lots of different stuff. The one that looks, it's like a tall, swirly, it's really neat, but it's like the authentic mold for the gingerbread, like the European gingerbread. Amazon sells that in the silicone. I have used this dough in the regular metal pans. The non-stick ones are fine. The ones that are just the steel, you kind of have to work at it to get it out, and sometimes you'll lose pieces. Because at this stage right here, it's still a little bit on the wet side. They're not completely dry. You can go ahead and decorate them in this stage. The only thing that I can say not to do is don't run a bead of spackle around the bottom edge until you give this guy a good amount of time to dry. I usually allow like 5 to 7 days, depending on the weather. And you'll know when it's dry. You can see the changes in it. And you can touch it and just know that it's dry, I think. I will typically do just a simple design on this one. And I've used my icing glaze, I've used slick paint. I typically do it white, and then if it's still damp, it'll turn sort of a cream color just naturally because it soaks up some color from the cinnamon dough. But you can put any color on here you want. You can decorate it any way that you want. Morning, Tina. For these bigger, for this bigger one, I usually do a little more intricate design. And with bundt cakes, it's pretty easy to design different things on here because you can fill the middles and put little sprigs of stuff in there and decorate them, you know, different ways. Another really cool thing about these cakes is that you can cut them. I'm going to move this guy up. When they're at this, especially at this stage, but even when they get really hard, it's the same with salt dough. You can cut these guys. You can do all kinds of things with the cut slices. Or you can get a silicone mold in a square shape and you can cut squares of the cake. Now when you cut these, let me get my knife here. When you cut these guys, you can cut them just like you do a regular cake. You see how easy my knife is going through there. I'm hardly even having to push. But you're still going to get the textural component out of here once you take the slice out. And it makes for a really neat display when you're doing that. So see, you still get all the nice texture of a realistic cake. If you wanted to do these like a filled cake, you can take a needle tool and you can scrape out some of the areas where you want to. Good morning again, Peggy. Sorry about that. Something happened. And then it wouldn't let me start back up again. You can, like I said, you can scrape out little channels in here where you want to put your filling in, and you can make it like a filled cake, and then you can have your slice sitting out and put this on a, you know, a cake plate, and you can do the filled slices on here. So it's pretty, you know, easy to do a lot of things with this dough. And like I said, this is totally insect proof. You're not going to get bugs from this. It lasts and lasts and lasts. These things, once they are dry forever. This one is a year old. It is hard. Nothing. I actually dropped this on the floor yesterday off of a table, and it bounced and rolled, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's no chips, no nothing. It's still the same as it was. So these are extremely durable. Once they're dry, they are beautiful for shipping because, again, nothing happens to them. They're hard as a rock, you know, no worries. So, you know, it's a good one to sell. You can make the gingerbread men, you can sell the gingerbread men, and they're going to be, you know, hard as a rock, just like this little guy. He's hard as a rock. Nothing. You're going to be hard pressed to break this. So I'm going to go ahead and decorate this little guy here, and I'm just going to use the slick paint on him. You can use, you know, any topping that you use for whatever you typically do your cakes with. Why is this not coming out? That's one thing that slick paint drives me crazy with the little pieces that get caught up in here. And it happens to every single one that I have ever opened. I can't ever use an entire bottle. That's why I like my icing glaze better, because it doesn't do that. I don't know why this paint has to react like that, but it gets those little wormy things in there. I don't know what you call them. What do you guys call them? Because I know you have the same problem. I don't know what it is about this. It gets those little chunky snake things in here. I can't even open this. I think they need to come up with a better system. Holy cow, what did they do? Glue this on here? Getting ready to do some icing glaze. I don't have a pastry bag here though. My gosh. This is terrible. You go live and then you can't open things when you're live and you sit here fiddling with stuff. So I know up after me is Ginger from Glitzy Creations by Ginger. I assume she's still coming live. I didn't see anything this morning, so I think she still is, but she'll be on at 8 o'clock. So I'm just going to go around here, and I'll take my my spatula, my little what did I do with it? Didn't even clean it. My little palette knife. And I'll sort of help this along just to get the drip going. Like I said, you can use any icing that you like to use on here. You can make the one with the silicone Mod Podge and paint, and put that one on. They all work very nicely. This is a really neat one to do for your holiday decorations, if you want something that smells super good. And I just sort of clean it up with my palette knife, just make it all nice and smooth here. So probably next week on one of my lives, I'm going to be doing some salt dough ornaments. And I have a salt dough recipe that adds some cinnamon and other spices into it. So you can get a similar result. It's not exactly the same, and it's definitely not as strong a scent as this one is, because this one really smells very strong, very realistic. But I have, salt dough is less expensive to make, still lasts a very long time, and you can make a similar recipe from the salt dough. Sorry about that. This bottle does not like me. You can make a similar recipe with less expensive ingredients, is what I was trying to say. You see I'm struggling this morning? It all goes from not having that second cup of coffee. I tend to struggle all day. I'm just going to have to break down and get it. I think I'm coming up on one of those little glue snakes again, and I'm not going to be able to stretch this out. It's not awful. It's just not going to come out. I swear this company drives me insane. And that was a brand new bottle, and I'm already having that. Good morning, Ginger. I was just saying, you're coming up in just a few minutes. So I think my paint thing is not going to work again. And I don't think this one will either. You know, I'm tempted to just chop the top off of this thing, which is, I think, what I'm going to do. Yeah, now mess with me. That's what you get. You get the top chopped off. Mess with me. And that's what happens when you come on too early in the morning. You start talking to your, good morning, Carly. You start talking to your paint containers. You see, I'm lacking coffee, and it's early in the morning, so Andy is talking to the paint container. So I made sort of a messy with this one. It's not quite as nice as I would like it to be, but this is for demonstration. So I'm just going to take some of my gingerbread spice finishing sugar, and I'm just going to sort of put that all over the top here, because it's just, it's a beautiful glass product. It has a lot of shimmer and shine, and it looks like, you know, a cinnamon brown sugar mixture that you would put on the top of a cake, just to make it beautiful and decorative and realistic. And you can put as little or as much of that as you want. And like I said, last year I made these little gingerbread men, and I just rested them in the middle here, and once the slick paint dries, he's like adhered in there. But I'm not going to do that right now. So this is again the texture of the cake that you'll get when you pop it out of the mold. It's very realistic, looks just like you baked a bundt cake. It smells amazing, and we scented it to be just like gingerbread. So that is just a simple little decorative cake. Easy. Thank you, Carly. Yeah, I I loved the cruller. I think he was my favorite. He was my first cruller, and I liked him a lot. So here is the gingerbread man we cut out of this dough. And like I said, he will bake for about 2 hours. He is about half an inch thick. He'll bake for about 2 hours on about 185, 190 degree oven. He'll come out nice and hard. And then you can decorate them with the kids, or you know, whatever you want to do with them. You can, before you bake them, if you want, maybe this size is better for a tree, but maybe you want some big ones for a tree. But you could put the little hooks in here and make them ornaments. The recipe is, I hope it saved the first video that I did before I blew off. But this is the basic recipe on here for this. It's 1.5 cups of cinnamon and or other spices to make it smell like what you're doing. We added ginger, cardamom, and cloves to this one. 3/4 cup of, actually I just got the cutters yesterday, Carly. Yes, I'm making a gingerbread house this way. Actually, I think I'm going to use the salt dough recipe though, and I'm just going to add some of the cinnamon in it, but I'm going to be doing that one next week. So, yep, that's what. For the applesauce, it has to be unsweetened. No artificial sugars in it. It has to be just pure smashed apples, unsweetened only. 1/3 cup of school glue, either white or clear, and a dash of vanilla. So that is the basic recipe. And like I said, we switched up the switched up the ingredients to make it smell more like gingerbread and, you know, a little less cinnamony. You can cut them. These guys have been baked, and we demolded them on the first video that I tried this morning until I got blown off. They are easily cuttable. You still get the texture. You can scrape these middles out and fill them so it looks like a little filled cake. Lots of things you can do with them. It's easy to use, easy to work with. I made a batch earlier just when I first came on live. Good morning, Haley. That's one of my daughters. I made a batch when I came on the first time, my first live, that I hope Facebook saved, but I'm not sure. So, I mean, I mixed it right here, rolled it out, popped out the gingerbread men, so it's easy to do. Good morning, Deborah. How are you? I think everybody's just starting to wake up now, right? And I'm going in for that second cup of coffee. So, and yeah, you can definitely make donuts or anything out of this. I've never actually seen a donut that's this dark. So salt dough, you know, if you're trying to do like a realistic bread looking donut without having to put the texture in the clay like I did, the ones I made the other day, which you totally can do. I mean, they look just as realistic, but you could do these little guys as ornaments and do them in different color icing and just hang them on your tree for that nice cinnamon scent. I mean, I'm crazy about cinnamon scents anyway, so. But that's about it for me. Like I said, I hope Facebook saved the first part of this video. If not, I'll have to re-record it. The replays are going to be up on my Facebook channel, and I'll have the complete recipe with the instructions on there. And ginger is going to be coming up in about 5 minutes, so go get your second cup of coffee before we get to watch Ginger. So, and on you guys that are going live, I've been having issues with my commenters, so it's not that I'm not watching you. I am there. I just can't say anything, so you don't know that I'm there. There's something with the phone now where you have to hit the little smiley. Good morning, Diane. The little smiley face, and I did it yesterday on Marie's live. You have to hit the little smiley face to get it to send your comment, and it worked once, and then I couldn't type anything else in the space. I can only do it on the desktop computer, which is, I'm staring at my desktop right now, but I can only sit in front of a desktop and comment on anybody's video. If I'm watching you on my phone, I can't say anything. So I really am there, but you just don't know that I'm there. Anyway, that's it for me today. If you have any questions on the dough recipe, like I said, there's actually hopefully 2 videos floating on Facebook with this morning, because I got blown off the first one. So if you're looking for any instructions, or you need help with this or whatever, you can always send me a message. I'm happy to help. I've done, gosh, probably 100 of these cakes over the last year, so I'm pretty familiar with the cinnamon dough recipe and how to manipulate it. So if you have any questions, thank you, Peggy. I definitely will. So I'm going to sign off. Everybody jump over to Glitzy Creations by Ginger, and I will see you again next week. Bye.